Okay, so 8th edition imploding. I'll never forgive GW for doing that. And here's the thing, right? Is that I don't understand why they did it. There is almost certainly no reason. They could have just retconned everything. They could have just changed. They could have just said, okay, look, we're just going to pretend that all of this didn't happen, okay, and then just go with the Sigma rights, the Age of Sigma rights now, okay, the Sigmarines, and here's the new law now, but instead, right, they have to go through this whole rigmarole of making the old world explode, and then the way that that part are still okay, they make the old world explode, but then if the game's still viable, everything okay, but then they exploded the game also. And then the worst part about it is the stories doesn't even make sense. None of the stories make any sense. Everybody betray each other. Suddenly Nagash is a good guy. Suddenly Tyrion is a bad guy. I don't know. It just... do any of you guys remember any of the imploding of the old world?
Yes. So I think... Okay, a few things to note. I think imploding the old world was definitely a business decision for GW. I think I understand why they did it. It's a simple case of production. They can't produce so many kits. I think even now, even in other games, they have been removing kits because they cannot keep up with the production. Their production cannot keep up with the new units that are constantly coming out. So they have to somehow retcon or remove units. So I think to introduce AOS, they just destroyed it.
In this case, they removed the whole game.
Yeah, they removed the whole game. But now they're bringing it back, which is ironic in a sense.
Yeah, it's a dumb decision. It is so incredibly stupid. And
so we can come back to that in a while. Just remind me later.
And that's the thing also, which is like they brought it back. They kind of have the same rules, but not really. The new rules somehow are even worse than the old rules.
Yes, I agree. I think from what I heard,
I just don't get it. Okay, never mind. Please continue.
Yeah, so I think we can use this analogy. GW is like your ex-girlfriend who's hot. She's so hot, but there's not a lot of depth in her. She's fun, she's wild, but at the same time,
she's an airhead.
Betrays you, cheats on you.
Cheats on you, but then thanks to the overall blowing up, that really opened us up to other games like Kings of War. Through Kings of War, I have made so many friends, traveled overseas. We have so many great games together. So Kings of War is like the more boring, stay-at-home wife or girlfriend, who is consistent. You know that she's there for you all the time.
What a great analogy.
Yeah, I mean she's a bit of a plain Jane, but she's there for you. You know what you're gonna get every time you are with her. You won't get
a nice home cooked meal every time you get home from
a wholesome meal of a Kings of War game.
Yeah, so I would use that analogy. Paige, you have any thoughts on that?
I heard why they did that was Warhammer Fantasy sales was very, very bad. I think compared to 40k, maybe it's like 10% of 40k or worse. So they decided that everybody already bought the players are all old. Everybody who plays already bought the units that they want. So it's not selling anymore. So I think the higher ups say let's destroy, start afresh, and then make it a casual game. Since this competitive game has run its course, let's start afresh with a casual game. And then it was so crazy. The first rules that came out, I think the dwarves, like, if you have a beard, you have bonus when you roll. And then
the rules consist of 2 pages only for Age of Sigma. Yeah, for the very first rendition, it was like 2 pages only.
And then the craziest thing was that there was no point cost to any of the units.
Yeah.
So then you just can bring whatever you want. So that they overestimated how viable a casual game would be. That it was so crazy. That time, Johan and I were at Warhammer Hots lah. Then we were just laughing from the other side.
And then it's not just there's no point cost. There's no like point limit per game. You can literally bring like a over 2,000 point versus like a 400 point on the other side, and there's nothing
to stop you.
That stops you. Yes.
So there was this I remember seeing this meme from the Warhammer Hordes community. There was this guy who modeled a Man-of flag bearer, and then the gigantic flag says, "No points, no point." I was like laughing at it. And then Johan was saying, the death of the old world was the best thing to have happened to Warhammer Hordes.
Yeah, because there's a lot of refugees looking for other game systems.
Such as myself, right?
Yeah, so people went to X-Wing, people went to War Machine and Hordes. Yeah.
But War Machine and Hordes also screwed that up.
Yeah,
so that's another thing. I don't know if we're going to talk about it.
No, we're not.
No, not really, no. But I mean, I use it as an example of like flavor lah. They also kind of screw the pooch in terms of the bloatedness and how they handle the game. But okay, that's a topic for like that one.
That one is my grudge.
Like, bro, we cannot have both of us riled up at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's something interesting to share after the death of 8th edition. So basically, just to share, there was a European team championship tournament. There was a worldwide Warhammer Fantasy tournament. We have people like from 30, 40, 50 countries all gathering every year to play. So after the death of the old world, they actually did a vote. What game should they play? Should they play AOS? Should they play
Kings of War?
Kings of War? Or should they continue and make their own rule set?
Which is 9th edition, right?
Which is 9th edition. And it's still, to this day, being played overseas with hundreds of players, thousands of players. I don't know how they do it in European countries, but it's still being played. It's a fan-made rule set with no models, but they do have third-party manufacturers, and they actually change a lot of the games to prevent GW from going after them in terms of the rules, IP and all that. So that at that time, unfortunately, Kings of War only had 8 factions. So that was one of the key reasons why Kings of War was not chosen as the game for ETC moving forward.
It was still quite early in its infancy.
Yeah, second edition.
Although it's second edition, it was newly launched. So there were limited factions. That was before. So after that, right, after the death of the old world, they come out with this supplement called Uncharted Empires, which is basically creating factions for all the Warhammer fantasy factions.
But they don't have models for it, right?
Yes.
At that time,
Magic doesn't have models to support all these.
But they created the rules for all the fantasy factions. So they say, you want to play your fantasy models, come over here. So, but at that time, they don't have it yet when the ETC committee was voting. In fact, I think Mantic went down to the final ETC of 8th edition.
And gave everybody free rulebooks.
Free rulebooks to everybody. I think it was a brilliant move. Just unfortunately, the game was not mature enough for them to accept at that time. If it was a few years later where they passed down with Clash of Kings updates and Uncharted Empires, I think there would be a strong chance that they would pick Kings of War.
Yeah, true. But just as a former ETC player, I can just tell you that the culture there is like quite different now. I don't think it's tempting to think that they like Kings of War might have stood a chance if it was a bit more fleshed out. But I feel like the players there they don't like going back to the flavors versus rules thing. Right? They are very into flavor. They are very, very heavily into flavor. I mean they rectify the rules so that it's a bit more balanced. Okay, but if you notice, right, a lot of the ETC balancing rules, right, they don't change the how
the faction plays.
They don't change how the faction. They don't change the shenanigans. By the way, so I'll talk about Conga line, right? You're allowed to use Conga line in ETC. Okay, it's a totally viable thing inside ETC. And in fact, one of the top elf players used this Conga line and he created a brand new way of playing the game, right? That negates about 90% of what other players are doing. I won't go into detail here. Basically, it's the item that negates your magic item. It's like you have this Crown of Command, right? It makes you stubborn. Nope, don't have anymore. Now you die. Okay, so they are very, very much into flavor one. They are not so much about the rules. And I mean, it's possible. It's possible that they will adopt Kings of War. But if you look at, so they call it 9H, but I don't know why. I think it's because of the Age of Sigma and then the 9th edition, they call it 9H or something like that. If you look at how they evolve from GW 8th edition to their current rule committee rules by committee style of play, right? It's remarkably the same. It's not so deviating to the point where, or at least that was the case when it first. I don't know about the state of it now. It's been years since I take a look at it. But there was a time where I was debating heavily, should I go into 9H? The reason that I decided not to is because I don't like the idea of a game not being supported by
an actual company.
By an official thing where it's just going to be like rules committee all the way. And then I know King of War have rules committee, but end of the day, somebody at Mantic makes the decision, makes the final call. You see, and I think that's like that's a very important, there's a final arbiter. 9H didn't have that, which I decided, okay, I didn't want to be in a position where I spend all this time and effort only for me to get betrayed again by some other shenanigans. So that was the...
I do know that there's a Norwegian player, Fred Oslo, I think that's his name. He was very into 8th edition. He was a judge at the last ETC of 8th edition. And then that's where he received the Kings of War rulebook. And he, being a judge, if he doesn't have any judge calls, then he got nothing to do. So he read through the whole Kings of War book at the ETC itself and decided that that's the game that he's going to play. So he's one of the prominent players of Norway, and then he's a prolific tournament organizer. Used to have a podcast also.
Yeah, he's actually part of Mantic Universe podcast. A great guy. So shout out to Fred.
He runs the Kings of War forum also.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go through some of the comments. Okay. Dawe, I'm with John on this. Screw you, Jita. And now they don't even give Skaven back to the old world. Oh my god, is that real?
Yes, it's still in Age of Sigmar.
Serious?
So they say that the faction cannot cross over between Age of Sigmar and Old World. So whatever remains in Age of Sigmar is not going to Old World. Whatever is going to Old World, Age of Sigmar will remove. So the Beastmen are being removed from Age of Sigmar and going into the Old World.
Did the portal open up from beneath their feet and they all swallowed up and they all went into the Old World now? What? Earth? That's so stupid.
The portal that's called GW sales department. Because they want to delineate which, if I sell this model, I want to know whether it's because of
this system or that system
earning me the money or AOS earning the money. So the models need to be exclusive.
Correct.
It's a sales decision.
Okay. Yeah. I think you're right. Thank you for that. I didn't even think all I see was red in front of me. Right? All I was just thinking was, man, I am so angry every time GW is mentioned. Oh my god, so stupid. Okay.
So OO will just come back as a sort of crippled form now, because whatever's staying in AOS will not come back to the OO.
Yeah.
Okay. Sean K, they could have left the setting alone and move on, but they probably felt like they had to shepherd players into the new world of AOS by making sure there's no way back to the old world. Bro, I mean, this is the most like corporate gobbledygook, that I've seen anybody typed out, and I'm just like, you know what? You're absolutely right. This is the corpo gobbledygook that GW will be able to spew out. That way, yes, traveling with friends and playing against my favorite.
Which one? The one that took off her clothes.
Oh.
Yes, I guess that's his favorite opponent. Elected Count then 40k superior game now, very balanced and fun. King of War getting there. Oh, there's a bit of a battle going on. Luke S. Yes, AOS V1 was just awful. It's okay now, but still GW game not great. 40k superior, what are you smoking? Awful game in grid setting with gorgeous models. Oh no. Elected Count. It is superior. 10th edition is so fun, casually and competitively. ETC has that kind of... Okay. Don't fight, guys. We are all on the same side, okay? We are all on the same team. Over sucks. Okay. Over GW 8th edition sucks. They imploded the game, made us all suffer, made us orphans. Okay. So
let's come back to why Old World came back. It's controversial. I don't know whether it's a real reason, but there's another example that came up also. So when Kings of War 3rd edition was announced, that was when Old World was announced. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was crazy. So we were thinking that it's Mantic, because Mantic is still a small company at the end of the day. But when Kings of War was third edition was announced in 2019, late 2019. At the same time, GW announced that Old World is coming back. And it only came back 3 years later. Now, GW has never announced something that
So
takes 3 years to
early,
release.
yes.
I think it's 4 years. Over came out last year, so something like that.
4 years.
Yeah, so let's give
It's
or
like,
take because there's COVID. So
Wait
like,
for
give them
me,
the
your
1 year
ex-girlfriend
delay.
is coming back. They're pretty much saying that. And it really worked for some players. They say, hey, Old World coming back.
Should I wait?
I think I wouldn't jump into Kings of War. And I think that really happened. Although it's not a very big amount. Because there are those who say, screw my ex-girlfriend, I'm going to the new
So
greener pastures on the
My
other
heart
side.
has been torn apart too many times by GW.
So there's a recent example again. So for those who know, Drop Fleet Commander just launched a new edition as well, or maybe not a new edition, but some kind of a new rule set. And guess what? Battlefield Gothic is rumored to be announced.
What are they doing? Are they like... you know what this is called? You know what the World of Breakdancing, they call it biting. They're just trying to bite off my audience. That's so stupid. And you know, like going back to just now what I was saying about GW, the new edition, right? They came back. I'm inside one of the group chats for the new edition.
We all are.
I think yeah. I put it on mute, by the way. I put it on silent. But once now and again, I will just like read through what
Yeah.
people are saying. There was one particular conversation that caught my eye, which is this guy who was asking about the Wizarding Hat. And then he asked, can the Wizarding Hat be used for other winds of magic, like throw magic or whatever? Like he was asking this question. I'm just like, wait, hang on a second. Isn't Wizarding Hat supposed to be only for the 8 winds of magic? Which kind of makes sense lah, because you only are supposed to use it for like the core magic rule set, right? Not the specialized magic rule set. Of course, I think it's someone clarified that it's only for the core magic rule set. But you mean to say that the new rule book has worse rule writing than the new one, than the old one? Like the current rules doesn't even clarify that it's only for that original 8 winds of magic, because the old one did. So this is the part where I'm just like, what even are you guys doing? You want to peel off the audience from the art, like do a good job, you know, do a better job than what you did before. But now this comes back and it's written like this. It is even more lazy than before, and they were lazy back then with regards to the rules. And I'm just like, man, I'm glad I'm done. I'm glad I'm done. I don't want to go back to get my heart broken again. This one is too crazy.
But your ex-girlfriend is still hot though.
You know what? She's 4 years older now. So, you know, some people like the MILFs, okay? But I personally, okay, I'm an old man, okay? I need my wholesome home-cooked meal at the end of the day to warm my bones, to warm my old bones, all right? I don't need the hot girlfriend to take me out on wild rides anymore, okay? Those days are done. It's over.
And speaking about that, right, they brought back the old world, but the units the new models have been very far between, you know, most of them are 30, 40-year-old models. So it's like your girlfriend or ex-girlfriend trying to bring you back, but she's older now. She's not as hot anymore.
She's still wearing her old clothes.
Yeah, still old clothes. Probably fatter.
Just to throw a bit of shade at Q Team as well. So Q Team just got a new 40k Q Team. Just got a new edition.
Out of nowhere, Paige. Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. They removed the symbols that represent the numbers of distances. So in the last edition, triangle meant 1 inch,
yes.
circle mean 2 inch. No relation to the shape at all.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Triangle, 3-sided polygon is 1 inch. Circle is 2 inch. Pentagon is 6 inch.
That is so stupid, man. That's one of the stupidest rules I've
so
seen.
people were like, why they introduce these symbols to represent the distance? Why can't you just say 1 inch, 2 inch, 6 inch? Then there was no proper reason for it. So rumor has it that, you know, the design team put placeholders in terms of shapes for the distances. And then they forgot to remove it. And then the game got released with the shapes. So that's why they have to run with it. No choice. So then this edition, they fixed that problem. So sometimes I don't know what their design team doing sometimes is like, so funny small little mistakes will happen.
Bro, they don't have like quality testers.
Yeah.
No
just
QC.
don't- they take a look at it. Oh, looks good on paper. Oh, seems fine. Or they just play amongst themselves, like not actual quality control testers. They just get a bunch of dudes, maybe their 80-year-old grandfather, to hey, Akong roll some dice try Akong just roll dice. It's okay. Fun or not? Fun or not? Okay seems fine. Okay lah. I think we can release the game. That's the extent of their quality control. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Just a last few comments. So, Dawei announced so early and still managed to screw up the old new game. Yes, this is in relation to the new edition. I 100% agree. Elector count then. John should play Beyblade. Revive your youth. Bro, it's done and dusted. The youth is in the grave. Okay? It's gone. I'm never gonna get it back. But I might try Beyblade. I don't know. The only reason I will do it is maybe next time my kids will like it. Just like, Johan's kids. So
Yes.
I'm doing it for the new use of the future. Okay, Liang Wei Hao. Not gonna lie, old world rules writing is absolutely terrible. I 100% agree. Blitz Mini is what about Conquest last argument of kings as a rank and flank?
Okay. About that, sadly, we all have no interaction with Conquest yet. I say yet lah. I don't know when will we do it.
Sorry, what's that?
Conquest is another rank and flank game by Parabellum. Blitz Mini is pushing it. So.
Oh yeah, I think I saw their.
Yeah.
It's a bigger scale.
It's a bigger
Yeah.
scale. And
I saw their miniatures. Yeah, it's.
They have dinosaurs this big. Yeah.
I remember taking a look at it and just thinking, I cannot use any of this miniatures for any other game.
Yeah, so that was one of the criticism we had for Conquest. I think me and my colleagues we were saying that they come out with these bigger scale miniatures which we cannot use for it. But that comes from us being Kings of War players, where we use miniatures from different ranges to play the game. Yeah, but what Parabellum did there was they specifically do this so that you cannot use the miniatures for other games. That means you have to, or you cannot use other miniatures for their game. I think that's more important.
Their infantry is like ogre size, I think.
Yeah.
So then everything gets bigger from there.
I think something unique is something interesting is they have the same rules developer. So Alessio Cavator also wrote the rules for Conquest, and he also wrote the first draft of rules for Kings of War. So I understand why they did that. What they decided to do with the scale, but they have a very unique look for each of the armies. The lore is pretty good. It's quite well polished.
Yeah, the recently new army, the one we've come with jeans and genie. That one was it was nice.
So
I agree.
It's definitely quite a viable option. I think a lot of players worldwide are looking at Conquest as well.
But unfortunately, we can't talk about Conquest because we don't know shit about Conquest.
I think a lot of games that's not Warhammer Games Workshop has a lot of uphill battle to get the excitement off the ground, get enough mass of players playing. Thankfully, Kings of War is at a stage where there's a bit of a mass of players playing locally and worldwide. That the momentum can keep going. So it's not. I think any non-GW game has this risk that what if end up nobody play?
Okay, so I think most non-GW games will need community leaders to push it and to keep it up there.
The Pathfinders.
The Pathfinders. So
Yes, Pathfinders,
those are the
yes.
Pathfinders. So from what I noticed, when you are having those niche games and you don't have community leaders, and I don't mean stores. Stores can only do so much. You need to have community leaders. Community leaders that are passionate about the game, that keep the game alive. Those are the games where they will flourish. It's the same as War Machine Hordes. That time I wasn't working in a hobby store. I was just a passionate guy who's trying to push that game. Yeah, so now it comes down to Page and Guard for Kings of War. And then we have Zhan Hui from Infinity. So Infinity is also another very small game, but he's doing his best to keep it alive. Yeah. So there is only so much a store can do to support a game, but the community leaders are the one that's really, really, really doing their utmost best to keep the game alive, and so kudos to them.
Thank you. Yeah, I think a term that some of us use is we are the Indian chiefs.
Yeah.
of the game. So we try to rally people to play the game lah. So yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about a little bit about Kings of War. So we are Mantic Pathfinders that's given a title from Mantic. But basically, I think every company and game system, they have an official title for players that step up to be community leaders to push
Not
the
all.
game. Not all.
Not GW.
Not GW. GW don't need.
They have stores.
Yeah, but I think we work together pretty well. God is always the hype man. He's always fun to play with, and he's always the one that gives new players their games. And new
Page
players
is the player to beat in Singapore.
Then
if you want to be a master.
True that.
at the same time, I run a lot of campaigns and tournaments. I take some joy in doing organizational stuff. We did have a lot of leagues campaigns throughout the years already, and some of them are pretty flavorful. My favorite was the Helpy's Rift one, where your hero can level up actually and gain more abilities. And then there were a lot of flavorful battles. It's still playing the base game, but with some campaign elements added to it that changed the game flavor a little bit. Yeah. Both of us are also quite well known in the international Kings of War community. Gart has been to UK 2 or 3 times.
3 times. But I've been to Clash of Kings twice and another small tournament, Beachhead, once.
Yeah, and then you met Chris from Mantic Universe podcast. So Gart is a pretty well-known name in the international scene. I myself also. So what happened, how it all started was I played in online tournaments. So they organize online tournaments using this software called Universal Battle. That's the software to play Kings of War online.
Especially during COVID lah, when we couldn't play in person. It became a bit popular.
So I took part in 3 seasons of it. 2, 3, 4. The highest I went was 2nd place out of international of 100 over players. So that's where my name started getting recognized, and then I started a YouTube channel called Newbie Dice. It also comes in podcast for some talking points format. So that's also got a decent following in terms of Kings of War. So yeah, my voice is heard out there around the world as well. So we are quite well-known proponents in the international scene as well. So if you're joining the Kings of War Singapore community, it's not just Singapore, you're connected to the world community at large also. We are having a Clash of Kings Asia tournament in February of next year. So it's jointly organized between Singapore and Malaysia. We're hoping to have more and more participants around Asia and even Australia come join us. The next year, I think a lot of us are going to Clash of Kings UK. So Clash of Kings is just a title for the biggest tournament in the region. So Clash of Kings UK last year has 150 players.
150.
Tickets sold out in 10 hours.
Yeah, within half a day. So this year they are looking at 200 because
200 players. Can you imagine? 100 tables of mats and terrains. So that's what they are organizing in UK, and I think at least 5 or 8 of us are already interested in going down. So
to
do join
represent
us.
Singapore.
It's a bustling community here in Kings of War in Hammer House in Singapore. Another thing I'll say is I've been playing Kings of War since 2015. There has only been 2 editions so far, 2nd and 3rd. So the game is pretty stable. Like what we say, the wholesome home cooked meal. Sometimes I've been busy with life. I only get to play a game after one or 2 months, but you will not feel very out of place. I would say there's a bit of barrier of entry when you play other, especially skirmish game systems. When you come to Kings of War, playing a rank and flank game, it will. The first game you will be caught very off. There's a lot of restriction in how I move and how I position. Then after a while, you get to get used to it, and you probably love this element because that's where all the strategy is. How you position your forces to crush the opponent's defense and then roll into the center line. That's the fun part about the game. This Kings of War game was designed by Alessio Cavatore.
Yes.
What's his fame before Kings of War? He was GW, rules writer.
Yeah, he wrote 6th edition. I think a lot of people think 6th edition fantasy was one of the better editions.
That's what I hear around the world also, especially Kings of War players. A lot of them are fantasy players. So I seem to always hear 6 or 7 editions are the best editions.
You can ask John here. Is he from the 6th edition?
No, I only started in 8th edition.
Okay.
But people, I mean, there were
You
people
heard-
who said like 7th edition, 6th edition were some of the more fun one, more fun one. 7th edition was a bit wanky, but the 8th edition was just completely out of control. Another world altogether.
Yeah, then I think another thing is to note is Kings of War is great for people who hobby. Yeah, to hobby, it gives you a lot of freedom in terms of models. With multi-basing, you can make nice scenic bases. and
Dioramas.
Dioramas.
Instead of just a single model.
Yeah, so it definitely that has
Charging down a hill, coming out of a mine.
Yeah, so it's there's a lot of room for creativity if you're a hobbyist.
Yeah, 4th edition is coming out soon, and that's the most exciting part. Next year, and Alessio Cavatore is back at the helm to write 4th edition. So what happened is he wrote 1st edition, and then he was assisting in the creation of 2nd edition. Then he went off. So 3rd edition was carried on by the rules committee. So 4th edition, Alessio is back at the helm, a very professional game designer. So from 6th edition fame, he wrote Kings of War. He wrote what's the Warlock game? The World War one?
Board action?
Boat Action. He wrote Boat Action. He wrote the Conquest, also written by him. So he's a very, very renowned rules writer. So he's going to be back at the helm writing 4th edition with the input of the rules committee. And I think that's the best of both worlds. You have
Interesting.
a professional rules writer designing the 4th edition from the ground up again. So what rules committee does, they are very experienced players from around the world, right? So they design very balanced rules, but sometimes it can be complex and a bit bloated. So a rules professional game designer will clean all that up, and then with the input from the rules committee, make it nice and balanced. So I think that's the most exciting news I have for Kings of War coming up.
And also us, we are playtesters, so we will try our best to make the game the best game it can be.
All right, thank you very much for that. And hope that the two of you will continue being pillars of the community for Kings of War, being the rule testers, make the game a better place. I really enjoy the game. All my complaints about the flavors and whatever is relatively minor, I would say. The game itself, I think the core of it is there. It's very solid. It's very the foundation is very good. I would not stop playing it. I will probably continue for most of my life if it continues this way,